And tensions are growing in the Lowcountry as the Colleton County community is looking for answers in the tragic death of 10-year-old Raniya Wright. Cody is standing by with the very latest on the investigation into her death. Cody.
Diana, the fight was on Monday, and here we are Thursday night, and we still have very few details. The one question we all want to know is, how did this fight in a fifth grade classroom escalate to the point Raniya died from her injuries? How in the world can this happen in an elementary school? And here's the deal. Parents and Raniya's family, they want an answer.
They waited for 2 hours for y'all. They waited for 2 hours for y'all, and that's all you have to say?
This afternoon, the Colleton County School Board held a special called meeting. The only thing on the agenda, Raniya's death. Following a 2-hour executive session, the board came out and read prepared statements, but said they can't offer insight into how this happened right now. You'll hear from the board in just a moment, but right now let's focus on Raniya. We're told she loved to write. She was a wonderful student at Forest Hills Elementary. She was a big sister, loved to play basketball, active in her church, where we're told she was a junior usher. Raniya's mom posted on social media she truly believes her daughter's death was the result of bullying. While that remains to be seen, the fact is this little girl's life was taken way too soon. As I mentioned, her death remains under investigation. The solicitor's office in that district came out today and said it's premature and too early to know whether there will be criminal charges filed in Raniya's death. Now, speaking of the investigation, the school district said the fact it remains active is why they can't provide more details to the community.
Out of respect for our families and the integrity of this investigation, we request that the public remain patient and focus on supporting this community during this time of tragedy.
Providing a safe learning environment is top priority for our district. After the investigation is concluded, we will thoroughly review the findings and address any areas of concerns throughout the investigation.
Now, that was the school board reading prepared statements following their executive session this afternoon. As I mentioned, parents who showed up were not happy. Many shouted at the board members as they left the meeting this afternoon.
2 hours and this is it? Blessings, brother. They could have waited. They could have sent an email. You wasted their time.
We received no answers. We received no information. It's like nothing's gonna change. You can send your child to school and then you don't know if they're gonna come home. You don't know if they're gonna come home unharmed or what, because the school district obviously does not care. As everybody's seen, they do not care.
Now, here's what we all need to keep in mind tonight. An autopsy is scheduled tomorrow morning for little Raniya. There's no doubt the Colleton County Sheriff's Office is spending a lot of manpower and a lot of hours investigating Raniya's death. But a lot of what happens next will be decided from what this autopsy determines. That's when we'll learn a cause of death and possibly the manner of death. Typically, the coroner's office in South Carolina releases that information within just a few hours of the autopsy. So tomorrow we could learn a lot more in this death investigation. And while that's ongoing, a vigil was held tonight for little Raniya. Brooklyn Cromer is in Walterboro tonight. So Brooklyn, I know the community has been rocked by this death. What's the sense down there? What are you hearing from the community members you've talked to tonight?
Well, I talked to a couple of her family members tonight. One of her cousins tells me that she gave the best hugs, and she says she would hug her every day before school in the hallway. And another family member describes her as an angel who loved her mom and who loved her church. A small community brought together in the midst of tragedy. Hundreds of strangers and friends locked hands in Pickney Park, bowing their heads to pray for a little girl whose life is much bigger than what happened to her.
This little angel never bothered anyone. If anything, she was so helpful.
She was my best friend, and I just miss the hugs from her, and I just want her to be here with me.
What often gets lost in the crowd, little hands, little hearts, and big eyes confused about what happened to their classmate and friend, Raniya Wright, who died after a fight in her fifth grade classroom.
My heart broke when Mama told me that. I just bust out crying. Every single day, I just dream about her, I cry about her every day.
Faces both familiar and new joined together for the 10-year-old girl. But it's not about the tragedy that tore them apart. it's the love that holds them together.
I know sometimes tragedy, good comes out of this, and I hope this never happened to another kid.
The same message echoed by pastors leading the vigil, telling the crowd something has to be done and praying good will come from an unthinkable tragedy.
I just feel like my heart's broken into these few days, and someday I'll get over it, but I don't think I can now.
Now, I talked to a lot of people at the vigil tonight. They tell me they hope something will be done to change bullying in schools, which her family believes led up to the fight. Cody and Diana.
So tragic here, Brooklyn. I mean, so many questions unanswered. Do we know, though, about the funeral arrangements? Have they been made? Do we know what's next for this family?
Well, we don't know. Those funeral arrangements haven't been made yet, but if anyone would like to help out, there is a GoFundMe page that's set up to help for her medical expenses and her funeral cost. Live in Walterboro, Brooklyn Cromer, Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.